AI is still getting a ton of hype right now. AI will replace us all. At least, that's what everyone is saying these days. But is that actually true for creators, specifically for 3D artists? Do we even need to bother learning these complicated programs or spend countless hours on creating a model anymore? Or is this AI about to do everything for us with just one single click? Today we are looking at an AI specifically built for 3D models. It's called Meshy. If you've never heard of it, Meshy claims to do it all with just one click, generating 3D models from text, turning 2D images into 3D assets, and creating print-ready or even game-ready models. To find out, I got 1 month of Meshy Pro. So, can this AI really beat handcrafted 3D art, or is it just $19 spent on broken models? I'll give you my completely honest opinion at the end of this video. To put it to the test, I will split this video into 5 categories. First, we have text to 3D, then sketch to 3D, render to 3D, hard surface, and lastly, in-game assets. Hello and welcome back to Arvania Constructions. I know, this might be a video you didn't expect to see on this channel, but it just so happened that I got a 1-month Meshy subscription, so I figured it would be the perfect chance to test it, show you my experience, and give you a real insight into the tool, without making it look better than it is. Okay, so let's see what we are actually dealing with here. This is Meshy. It's all fairly simple. Over here we can drag and drop our reference images, and they've also got a prompt helper, examples and tutorials. So let's have a look at that. Oh look, how to turn a 2D drawing or sketch into a 3D model. They've even got this little table comparing AI generation to manual 3D modeling. AI takes just a few seconds and is very easy. Manual modeling, on the other hand, well, it takes hours, if not days. It's moderately hard, and you need software like Blender or ZBrush. And to be fair, it does take ages and experience. So the core promise is simple. We just draw what we want, feed it to the AI, and it generates the asset. Sounds great on paper, but for now, let's get straight into round number 1. Text to 3D. For this, I described an alien idea I recently came up with, typing it into Meshy as precisely as possible. It works exactly like text to image. You just enter your prompt and see what you get. And yeah, this isn't exactly how I imagined my creature. But that's the whole issue with text prompts. If I gave these exact words to 5 different people, every single one of them would design something completely different. But let's try to generate a texture based on the prompt anyway. To be fair, it looks quite cool. I actually like the colors. The light brown complements the black quite well. Since I'm not entirely pleased with the first result, let's retry the prompt. Now, this one looks interesting. I can easily imagine this hanging on a wall of a tavern somewhere, though it sort of reminds me of a peanut. And adding the texture only enhances that look. It's a fascinating design, I like it, but it's still not what I actually had in mind. Which brings us to the next category. If I want this creature to look exactly the way I envisioned it, I need to draw it myself, so the AI actually knows what to do. I wanted this alien to have a very specific biological structure, something truly organic with a distinct hidden shell, fitting right into a sci-fi survival setting. I've always loved insects, and integrating those typical features into my creature is something I really enjoy doing. Sitting down and drawing this by hand is where the real design work happens. It allows me to define shapes, the weight, and the overall character before any software touches it. The big question now is, can the AI actually interpret these lines, or will it just end up completely confused? Of course, I could spend ages on this and really dive into the details, but for now, this should do. Now, this sketch is completely unrendered and looks pretty flat. To fix that, I passed it on to Gemini to create a fully rendered version from multiple angles. It took a few iterations to get it right, but it's very close to what I imagined. All made from my sketch. Now we actually have something tangible to work with. A proper reference to feed into Meshy for round 2. Sketch to 3D. So I just drag and drop my sketch into Meshy and click generate. Very easy. By the way, I'll spare you the 2 to 5 minutes it actually takes to generate a model. Unfortunately, this is not at all what I wanted my sketch to produce. This looks far more like an intricate side table than an otherworldly creature. Also, the texture is quite different from what I expected. It used my sketch directly as a reference, which turned the whole thing black and white. It does look cool, but it still doesn't look like a living creature. So let's head straight to the next category. Render to 3D. Now this is something. Thanks to the rendered version, Meshy could interpret it pretty well. Suddenly there are so many details and the proportions look alright. Let's generate a texture from the reference image. Wow, I must admit, I really like how this turned out. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Sure, it only takes a few minutes and looks great at first glance. But if we turn on the topology and take a closer look, it's a completely different story. Do you see what's actually hiding behind the model? Look at how messy the wireframe is. If you're new to this, 3D topology is basically how the mesh is built. The arrangement of all the edges, vertices and faces that make up the model. Now, to be fair, you only really need clean topology if you want to, let's say, animate it. But let's take a look at the maps. First we have the base color map, which is simply the color data of the object. Next is the roughness map, which defines which parts are glossy and which are matte. The dark areas here are glossy, while the lighter parts are matte. There's no metalness and no emission, which is why those maps are completely black. This one is the normal map, which simulates fine details and depth. It's purely visual, meaning it doesn't change the actual 3D geometry of the mesh. You can see it pretty well here on the eye. It creates these subtle facets. Visually, we perceive it as a raised surface, but that's just a trick of light and shadow. But the UV map of the base color looks absolutely wild. For those who don't know, UV unwrapping is like cutting open a 3D object to flatten it out into a 2D surface. Think of it like carefully unwrapping a chocolate Santa and flattening the foil out on a table. But alright, let's head to the next category. Blender sculpting. Now it's time for some manual sculpting. While you watch me build this from scratch in Blender, I want to take a moment to talk about my thoughts on AI in general. Because the big question we always hear is, does AI actually make our lives easier? Is this a massive paradigm shift for creatives? Well, not really. I think generative AI is more for people on the opposite side. People who aren't creative or don't have the technical skills. For context, I'm referring to Blender here as this is my main 3D modeling software at the moment. Why use 3D modeling software instead of AI? Well, with AI, you're playing roulette. You push a button and pray it looks right. In Blender, you have the full control over every single vertex, edge and face. You build exactly what's in your head, not what an algorithm thinks you want. Never rely on AI, at least not for now. I'm not talking only generative AIs, even LLMs like ChatGPT or Gemini. Iterations and changes. AI sucks at iterations. If you need to change just one small detail, like making a single part bigger, you can't just tweak it. With AI-generated models, all the parts are usually merged together. So, you have to regenerate the whole thing and you lose what you liked. Blender allows you to iterate, adapt and refine your design perfectly, all the time. New ideas. AI can only remix what already exists on the internet. True creativity, especially when designing unique creatures or complex sci-fi assets, happens during the process of making it yourself. That's where the soul of the art is. The question I've been asking myself the entire time I was testing this AI is, what's the point? What's the benefit and how does it actually help me? And honestly, the answer depends on who you are. If there is a benefit, it's purely for quick concepting. If I just need a rough 3D shape to see how a silhouette looks in a scene, or if I want to block out a rough idea in a couple of minutes without worrying about the details, then yeah, maybe, it saves time. It's a tool for brainstorming, not for the final product. I guess the real target audience isn't experienced creators. It's for people who have absolutely no 3D skills but quickly need a generic asset for a game prototype. Or for 3D printing. For them, a messy mesh is better than no mesh at all. They might not even think about the things I care about. And that's fine. Alright, back to the alien. I used some texture brushes to apply some skin features. And here's the result. With that done, let's move on to the next category. Hard surface. I wanted to see if Meshy could generate a sci-fi plasma pistol, so I type in a precise prompt and wait for the model to generate. Well, that looks like a normal pistol to me. Cool, but not what I had in mind. So let's retry. Hard surface modeling means creating mechanical or man-made objects. Examples include cars, robots, weapons, and buildings. This is the exact opposite of organic modeling, like animals, plants, or the alien we've just seen. This one's better, but if we look closely, there are some parts that are rather washed out. Another retry, and this time, it's an ice pistol. It has these snowflakes at the back. But I do like the part right here. It looks like some nice hard surface work. This next generation looks the most interesting so far. But it's missing the pistol grip and, most importantly, the trigger. Alright, the last generation isn't quite to my satisfaction either, unfortunately. We'll probably have to give Meshy an image to work with. Now that looks way better. And with the texture applied, it looks pretty good. Until we take a closer look. That's when you notice that the textures don't make much sense in some places. Like here for example, where there's suddenly a blue light appearing. Or here on the handle, it's quite blurry at the top. I do like the way the weapon has a nice sheen though. But sadly, things like the lettering are completely illegible. Or maybe I just don't know the language. But from far away it looks okay. Maybe from far away. But Meshy can actually generate pictures for us as well. And from that picture we can let it generate a model. Which, unfortunately, it doesn't look nearly as good as the reference, to be honest. Same issues here. The textures are just off. With that said, let's move on to the last category in this video. In-game assets. Let's start with an alien egg. I do like aliens, if you haven't noticed by now. Same as before, but this time I'm checking low poly. This makes the mesh of the model less detailed, which is great for performance inside a game engine. And I'm actually surprised by this one. It looks much cleaner than what we've seen before. Once the texture is applied, the first things that come to my mind are melon or tiki. But I could definitely see this inside a game for sure. That's the beauty of organic or otherworldly shapes. They don't follow human-made rules. It's totally okay if they don't look exactly like you'd expect. Next, I'm testing the character feature of Meshy. This is where you can generate and animate a living creature. You might actually remember this alien design from my previous video where I designed those texture rollers. Now I know I always ramble about textures, but look at this. The highlights are baked right onto the eyes. This makes absolutely no sense at all. What if the light source in your game comes from a different direction? Or what if it's nighttime? Meshy also lets us assign a rig or a skeleton to the figure. These points define the joints where, for example, an arm can bend. So here we have the shoulder, the elbow and the wrist. There are even some built-in animations, like this walk cycle. But the skeleton doesn't consider the fingers, it's just not that detailed. So the hands just sort of hang there lifelessly. I think with that, we reached the end. That's all I wanted to show you for now. I hope this video gave you a little insight into what Meshy is capable of and what it's not. I also hope I wasn't too harsh. Don't get me wrong, the technology is fascinating, but it's not a shortcut for professional art. At the end of the day, there is still no substitute for true craftsmanship and the passion you put into your own manual work, even if it takes years of practice. Oh, and by the way, at the very beginning of the video, I actually tried using Gemini and Firefly to generate those newspaper letters for the intro. Well, I should have known better. It didn't look anywhere near what I wanted, so instead I ended up flipping through a bunch of real newspapers and cutting out the letters for my ransom note by hand. I guess nothing beats real manual craftsmanship after all. Let's end the video with something positive. I really like this cute little plush tomato. I hope you enjoyed this video, even though it was something completely different from what we usually do here on the channel. If you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know your thoughts on AI in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. Until then, see you in the next one.